time takes all, whether you want it to or not. Stephen King. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Time Flies. I'm Sloan, one of your hosts for today, and my co-hosts are Lila, Anya, and Barcy.
Our podcast team has been reading a book titled The Timekeeper by Mitch Albom, and we've decided to share a few of its major themes with you today and talk about the story.
This book focuses on themes related to time, like the potential effects of wanting more or less of it and cherishing what you have left. It touches on topics such as how to live a full life and manage your time wisely, all while keeping readers engaged in an interesting plot full of wonder and emotion.
The main characters in The Timekeeper are Dor, who's the creator of time, Sarah Lemon, a teenage girl whose life revolves around her crush, and Victor Delamont, a wealthy businessman who is told he has little time left to live.
All three characters have their own relationships with time as the story goes on. For example, Victor wishes for more time and decides to try and figure out a way for him to live longer. His powerful position as a wealthy business owner leads him to think of ways to cheat death instead of simply accepting it and letting it come naturally.
On the other hand, Sarah Lemon wants more time at first, trying to stretch out her life and spend as much time with her crush Ethan as possible. She longs for more time to get ready, make herself look good, and buy presents for him. However, she gradually wants less and less time for herself, as her mental health decreases when she realizes he doesn't like her, and she tries to escape her life.
And finally, Dor was the first man to ever measure time and count the hours in a day. As a result, he was forced to live forever because he dared to count down the minutes of the gift he had received.
For our episode today, we will be focusing on Dor and the themes he brings to the story.
Dor is a man that was born thousands of years ago, before time was ever calculated, and he became the first man to start counting time. He creates the first sundials and water clocks to keep track of time, but he slowly becomes more and more obsessed over it, spending all his time working on his creations and constantly trying to find new ways to measure the life that was given to him.
This knowledge and discovery causes Dor's childhood friend, King Nim, to seek him out and ask for his inventions in case they could help with building his tower. He intends to build into the sky so he can overthrow the gods and rule from above. Dor refuses to help, and Nim tells him and his wife, Allie, that they must leave and never come back. They move out of the country and find a home, where they live in poverty and cannot see their children who had once brought them so much joy.
Even then, Dor continues to measure time, coming up with more ways to do so, and becoming more fixated on the idea. One day, Allie and Dor meet an old couple with a disease and try to help them. They pass their illness to Allie, and she grows ill. Dor tries to take care of her, but her sickness only gets worse. One day, Allie lays down and cannot get back up. She's on the verge of death.
In a desperate attempt to save Allie, Dor leaves his cottage and runs all the way back to his country to King Nim's tower to ask the gods for more time. The tower almost been completed, so Dor runs up to the top, hoping to reach the gods and force them to stop time, saving his wife. Little does he know, this will leave him facing terrible consequences.
The people who have built the tower for Nim begin to chase him, believing it to be the moment they begin their siege against the gods. But as they start ascending the tower, it begins to crumble and fall. Dor keeps trying to climb up this tower as the people chasing him fall to their death. He is almost at the top of this giant tower when he blacks out.
When he wakes up, he is in a cave and an old man comes to him, one that he had seen once before as a child, telling him that he has changed the world forever through his measuring of time. Now he has burdened people in the future with the knowledge of time and the ache to control it, and to control their life. His punishment for this crime is that he is trapped inside a cave, and he isn't allowed to leave until the man releases him.
He is forced to stay in the cave for an endless amount of time, listening to the voices of those asking for more or less time through a well in this cave, but never aging a day throughout the thousands of years that he is trapped.
He stays there until he is told that he can escape his terrible fate by helping two people on Earth learn about time. Dor now descends back down to an Earth that has changed massively from the last time he saw it to complete his mission.
Time is a part of every major theme in The Timekeeper. What importance does time hold for you and the generation among you?
Time is a much different thing in our generation than it was thousands of years ago. Back then, people didn't have the pressure of time, and they cherished the precious moments they had. By being ignorant to time, they lived their days to the fullest. But time seems to have a hold on our generation.
I agree. These days, we are constantly wishing for time to go faster or slower. We wait for long classes to end and wish our lunch break was longer. We wish for something we will never have.
So, with that being said, what are ways to make the most of the limited time we have left?
Our best bet is to be appreciative of the time we have left, however long that might be. I often find myself wishing for more time, but simply, I will not be getting that. We have to live in the moment and not waste a second, no matter what. We never know what might happen to life, so we might as well live without regretting our not living enough.
But the thing everyone in the world needs to realize is that there's no way to win in life. The things we hold so dear and think are the most important things in the world now will not matter years later. Importance is all about perspective and how you feel about what you've done in the future.
We know that our lives are defined by time and that we often forget its significance. Was there a positive result of Dor's first attempt to measure time?
A positive outcome might have been that he knew things that other people did not. Dor did expand his knowledge, but he did this by sacrificing time he could have spent with his loving family and burdening future generations with the constant thought of time.
Why is Allie such an important figure in Dor's life? How is she essential to his action throughout the story?
Allie plays a really important role in Dor's life because she is the one who witnesses all his calculations, even from when he was a child.
She's the only one who truly understands the meaning of his work. As a result of this, she's the most important person in his life and the one he trusts the most.
Allie is the only thing keeping him from going insane in the cave, and the only thing for Dor to go back to when he finishes his quest. Dor probably would not have been as motivated to save Sarah and Victor if it had not been for Allie.
Speaking of Allie, I want to talk about the ending of the book, where he goes back to her. So, when he goes back to Allie, do you think he expected her to be healed, or do you think he expected her to be the same way he was last time?
I think he had a certainty that she would be okay. It's implied at the end of the book that they are both dead, but they can live on in the afterlife together and finally be happy. Dor is finally able to achieve his dreams of being back with his wife after being away from her for thousands of years. Now that we've gone over all the questions about this book, how would you guys connect this character to real life?
I think of Dor as a normal person who wastes their life counting down the time they have instead of spending it wisely with those they love.
He is a naturally curious man, which leads him to discover that he could measure time. His curiosity was his fault here, as he got punished for daring to do such a thing. Did you guys think that the ending was satisfying? What was the significance of it?
I thought the ending was pretty satisfying. It tied up all the loose ends and described the happy endings for all of the characters as well. Sarah and Victor both achieved good endings to their stories thanks to Dor.
I agree. I think Mitch Albom did a good job showing how the characters lived their lives to the fullest after Dor showed them how important that is. The ending was very significant because it showed how they all learned from their mistakes and spent their time on what mattered the most.
Dor brought meaning to Victor and Sarah's lives by showing them what could happen to them if they continued spending the time the way they were. This led to the happy ending where all three characters learned to spend their time wisely.
Dor going back to Allie seemed like the perfect ending, as it was where the events of the book really started. He also had something to learn from his adventure and finally made the right choice. to not measure time and spend his last moments with the love of his life.
Are there any ways we can relate this book and its important messages to our own lives?
I can think of a lot of ways we can relate the themes of the timekeeper to our own lives. For example, we can learn to use our limited time wisely and with loved ones instead of wishing for more of it.
I agree. Like we mentioned earlier, it's not about the little things in life. When all is said and done, if you are happy with the relationships you've made and the things you've accomplished, you have lived a full life.
Yes, I agree with that. In the end, it doesn't really matter how long you lived. It could have been 100 years or 30. But if you are proud of the things you have done and the experiences you felt, you know it was worthwhile.
I think that's a beautiful message that everyone can connect with in their own lives. No matter who you are, you can live a full, happy life.
Finally, what are your overall thoughts about Dor after you've read the whole book and been familiarized with his personal emotions and connections?
In the beginning, Dora was the first person to really be curious. No one else ever thought to count how many minutes they had in their lives. While he was punished for burdening future generations with time, I have an appreciation for what he did. He opened his mind to completely new ideas and maybe even brought creativity to the minds of people who came after him.
I agree. Even though the old man punished Dor, it is a very understandable reason why he would let his curiosity get the better of him. It happens to everyone, where you let curiosity run wild and discover new things.
If anything, I think the old man is too hard on Dor. Sure, measuring time can bring bad consequences, but it can also have its advantages.
The podcast does not end here. Today, we have the privilege of hosting Mitch Albom, the author of this book, so that we can see his speculations on the timekeeper. Mitch, it's an honor to have you on our show.
I've read quite a lot of your books, Mitch, and I believe it's fascinating how you blend great themes with relatable storytelling. Mitch, what prompted you to make this book that provokes these thoughts? Perhaps a personal experience that influenced the narrative?
Thank you so much for having me. The Timekeeper was inspired by the observations I made surrounding society's relationship with time. I thought it would be nice to offer a lens into the impact our perceptions have on time and could have on our lives and relationships with others around us.
Many readers find themselves similar to the situation of the characters. I believe that is what makes it worth reading. Mitch, do you have any challenges that you faced with balancing time, and did that have a contribution to the themes in this work?
For sure. One of my lifelong challenges for me is balancing time, which without a doubt played a significant role in shaping the themes of the Timekeeper.
The Timekeeper focuses on the perceptions of time, both as a gift and as a burden. Can you elaborate more on this important concept and the impact it has on your readers?
Absolutely. The thought of time as both a gift and a burden really stood out to me. My aim was to illustrate how our perspectives on time shape our relationships and lives, portraying it from the view of three main characters. For some, time might be a burden, but for others, it is a gift.
For those who haven't gotten to read The Timekeeper, could we get a brief overview of your book and what you wish readers to take away from this interesting view of time and its importance?
The Timekeeper is a story that revolves around Dor, Victor, and Sarah. I don't have much to say because everything has been covered earlier. I hope readers take away a deep understanding of the value of time and the great impact it has on our everyday lives and choices that we make, because it really does change all that we do.
Victor and Sarah both undertake transformations throughout their stories. Mitch, can you show us the process in developing these characters and the symbolic significance they hold?
Developing Victor and Sarah was quite the process. They represent the different aspects of human experience with time. Victor reflects on the constant desire to have more time. Sarah explores the desire of shortening the time she has left and finding meaning in it. I aim to make the characters relatable, allowing readers to connect with their struggles and time's complexities. I hope future readers will reflect on their own relationship with time, pondering its significance and the choices they will make.
How do you create the perfect balance between delivering such a powerful message and maintaining a conversational tone that engages readers through a personal tone?
I would say I do it by storytelling. Connections with readers are easier when using relatable narratives. I like using a conversational tone because it makes readers reflect on their own experiences and think about how they can apply it to their own lives.
I want to be mindful of your schedule. Before we wrap up this episode, could you share any final thoughts about the book or anything we covered in this episode?
I want to express my gratitude to readers for exploring The Timekeeper. I hope to continue inspiring individuals and making meaningful conversations through my writings.
Before we finish, Mitch, I want to express my gratitude for your insights and time. Your words are very inspiring, and I believe our listeners will find this discussion worth it. To our listeners, if you do not have one, make sure to get a copy of The Timekeeper in your hands. If you enjoyed today's conversation, share your thoughts on social media using our podcast hashtag.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to connecting with you all in the future and hearing from readers.
After all this talking, I can't believe that we've only scratched the surface of the story. We have so much more to discuss about the meaning of time and the several themes behind it.
I'm excited to talk with you all next week about more interesting themes in the book and delve deeper into today's topics.
Join us next time when we dive into the story of Sarah Lemon, Victor Delamont, and all the side characters present in this book.
Make sure to tune in for the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to Time Flies. Bye.
Bye.
We've decided to add a little segment at the end of our episodes this week. Today, I will give you a short biography on Mitchell David Albom. Mitch Albom was born in Passaic, New Jersey, on May 23, 1958, to Rhoda and Ira Albom. He has two siblings where he is the middle child. In his career, he has published in 51 territories and had his books changed to 48 languages spanning across the globe. Albom grew up wanting to be a cartoonist, but he eventually switched to wanting a music career. Throughout his life, he's been a newspaper columnist, radio show host, best-selling author, and a TV commentator. Albom graduated from Columbia and Brandeis University with degrees in journalism and sociology. When he went to the Columbia University, he paid his tuition by playing the piano. At this time, he is married to Janine Sabino, lives in Michigan, and hosts a daily talk show called WJR Radio. They adopted a daughter named Chica in May of 2015, who is the subject of the memoir Finding Chica, a little girl, an earthquake, and the making of a family. Chica died of a brain tumor in 2017, but she is still a part of their loving family. After she passed, a fund called the Chica Fund was created to help people in need with anything concerning medicine. He also founded the Say Detroit, which provides the people in Detroit with routes to success. The money for Say Detroit comes from the Detroit Water Ice Factory, which gives 100% of its proceeds to Say Detroit, which in turn goes to the needy people of Detroit. He oversees an orphanage called Have Faith Hattie, which is where they met Chica. This orphanage and school came to be after a horrible earthquake devastated and split apart many families. The name is partially based on his book, Have a Little Faith. Albom has sold more than 40 million books over his lifetime, and he won the 2010 Red Smith Award for his writing. His most famous book is Tuesdays with Morrie, a book that stayed on the New York Times bestseller list for 4 years. His most recent book, The Little Liar, came out in 2023. Aside from his book, Albom also enjoys writing songs. He has written songs for several singers and recorded a few for TV shows and movies. He's also been a part of bands throughout his life. One of his books even comes with its own solo playlist that contributes to the story. Join us next week. Bye!